What's happening, everybody? On today's show, Mississippi State quarterback Mike Wright joins the show. We'll talk about his time at quarterback at Vanderbilt and where his journey has taken him to today. Locked On SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is happening, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. All right, let's jump right into it. We've been catching up with a lot of SEC players preparing for the upcoming season. And joining us right now is former Vanderbilt, now Mississippi State quarterback Mike Wright jumping in with us. Mike, how are you, man? How's your summer going?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm back in beautiful Starkville, Mississippi for summer workouts, and we're just out here grinding, and I'm loving every second of it. So I'm excited for this season coming up, and I'm just excited to be around the guys and going at it. So
I've always called it Stark Vegas. I can't not call it Stark Vegas after being there a couple of times. But let's start here, Mike. I want to work backwards kind of. You spent your first three seasons at Vanderbilt. You're going into your fourth year. You entered the transfer portal. You head to Mississippi State. So from anchor down to Hail State, what went into that decision? How did you find yourself in Starkville this year?
Oh, yeah. Well, one, the portal is a crazy place. And you ask any athlete who's ever been through the portal, it's a little different than high school recruiting, just because you got to figure out a new home in a month and a half. Sometimes it's even less than that, depending on when you jump in. And so for me, it was just about trying to build a relationship with coaches from the day I entered, December 18th, all the way until getting here in Starkville the day before the add or drop date. So for my recruit, it went all the way to the end. And so for me, it was just building my relationship with Coach Barbet and Coach Arnett, throughout the time that I was in the portal. And, everybody always says, you got to come to Stark Vegas, like you say. Once you get there, there's just a different aura, there's a different feeling. And so for me, combined with the relationship I built with, those two great guys and the offensive vision, it was a no-brainer once I, jumped on campus and, saw the place for myself. So
we'll get into a little bit later on what your role will be this year. But was there, I guess, most people assume you're going to go somewhere and, you're going to go somewhere and be where they have an open job and a starter. Will Rogers still being on this roster, what was the thought process there? Knowing Will is coming back for his fourth year there at Mississippi State. I guess the simple question is there room for both of you guys to play?
Oh, yeah. Well, one, whenever you hop in a situation like that, everybody always assumes like, all right, you got two figurehead leaders. Are they going to be bucking heads or anything? My relationship with Will is amazing. We've known each other since we got to college. We played Mississippi State at Vanderbilt, twice, and then we were both together at the Manning Passing Academy. And so, whenever you walk into a room with a guy you already have a relationship, it makes it so much easier. And then, my role always just to help a team win, however much I can, and in my role. And so there was never really a thing where it's like, all right, I'm going to go somewhere where I know, hey, I'm going to immediately play. I'm going to be the guy. That's not who I am as a person. One, I love to compete. And two, for me, it was just about a place that fits Mike Wright. It's not so much about, all right, where's the most logical place Mike could go, for in somebody else's eyes. It was, a decision that I wanted to make in a place that I felt like fit me as a person and as a football player. And so that's what Mississippi State offered me. And so that's why I'm here right now.
I want to rewind with you a little bit. You were a quarterback recruit coming out of the Atlanta area out of high school. You must have had some really good grades because you had offers from Boston College, Northwestern, and Vanderbilt. I guess what ultimately made you choose Vanderbilt, because it's a tough school, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, one thing I pride myself is just expanding knowledge. And so whether or not that be in the academic sense or just in a world sense. And so for me, that's always been a thing for me. There's always like this running joke I always put out talking about just being an academic weapon. And that's just basically giving your best and giving your all, in the classroom. And so I always run into people like, man, I'm not smart in this area. I'm like, look, you don't have to be smart with numbers. You don't even have to be smart with words. You can be smart in other areas of life. And so, for me, I'm always big on expanding knowledge. So whether or not I have a class or homework to do, if I don't have anything like that, I'm researching something random or, just trying to test my brain a little bit. And so that did kind of play a factor into, why I went to Vanderbilt. But for me, it's just like I said, it's just that was the place that fit me at the time and fit me as a person, as a football player. So that's ultimately why I chose that place. So
You saw a little action your freshman year with Ken Seals, and I mean, look, it was a weird year with COVID and all that. 2021 it was you and Ken again, and then this past year was you and AJ Swan. Kind of splitting time almost. How tough was that journey those first few years at Vandy? Because look, there was a lot of losses. There was a lot of just tough, grueling weeks. I got to think, and I got to think that it's got to be pretty hard on a guy like yourself that's a competitor and wants to win.
yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it was hard, but one, I just appreciate the experience. I mean, here I am, like I said, the guy from Atlanta. I get a chance to play college football in front of 100,000 fans, weekly and all on TV and all this kind of stuff. And so, one, I never take those moments for granted. If anything, I enjoy them. And then plus, I mean, I don't want the easy path where you don't have to face adversity, where you don't have to, go through ups and downs. And so, for me, it was just about the experience, and anything is just learning. Try not to make the same mistake that you did last week, this week. And so, one, I can just say I've learned a lot. And so, when it comes down to, there's times where you kind of get kicked down and your face is to the dirt. I've battled through those adversity, and so I'm kind of battle tested. So if anything, I kind of appreciate it just because I've lived through those moments and I've lived through those, pressurized moments. So when they come up again, I have confidence that I'll come out on top. So.
How tough was it? I got to assume Coach Derek Mason was the guy who recruited you there. How tough was it when they decided to part ways with him? And then, two, what was it like getting to know Coach Clark Lea coming in and taking over?
Oh yeah, well, one, Coach Mason's a great guy. So you didn't want to talk about a player's coach. That's who he was for us. And so when our athletic director at the time made the decision to part ways, it kind of hit us with our heart. It wasn't so much a football sense, but it was more like, all right, we're losing a mentor. And so I'm still in contact with Coach Mason. We'll send each other text messages here and there, and I'll check up on him and he'll check up on me. And so, that was the relationship that we built in those 9 months in which I was there at Vanderbilt. And so, I was much appreciative of them. And then when Coach Lea came in, I mean, he was full throttle. I mean, he was a guy who, he was an alumni there, full go, and he was ready to, get the team back on track. And so, I appreciate him in a sense too, just where it's like, I mean, that was my guy. I mean, he served as a mentor for that team. He served and kind of put life back into that football program. And so, I know all the alumni and all the fans still at Vanderbilt are very much appreciative of him and what he's doing. So, and I'm appreciative of what he did for me during my time there as well. So.
And I want to remind you guys that baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get that no sweat bet up to $1,000. That's $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to join today. Of course, tons of different action, game action you get into as we near the All-Star break, and tons of games going on throughout the season. So don't miss your chance to snag that no sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Again, FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. FanDuel, they are the official partner of Major League Baseball, and Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. Continue our conversation with Mike Wright, former Vanderbilt quarterback, now at Mississippi State. And Mike, another guy, one of your teammates, your running mates last year, Ray Davis, he also hit the portal. He's going to Kentucky as they lose Chris Rodriguez, but I know he's looking to be one of those workhorses. He finished 4th in the SEC in rushing last year. Give me a scouting report. What's Kentucky getting in Ray Davis coming over to Lexington?
Well, one, they're getting a dude who's going to work his tail off. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who was up for the running for comeback player of the year, and that was for a reason. I mean, he had to battle through injuries, and so for us to get him back at the time during when I was at Vanderbilt was amazing. You want to talk about like a 1-2 punch when it came down to the not only the rushing game for him and me, but just a guy who just served as a leader for that team. And so I would say to Kentucky fans, I would be excited to have, Ray Davis on my team. I mean, a guy, every down back, you need dirty yards. He can do that. A guy who can break away, a guy in the passing game who can catch the ball out the backfield and make something happen on plays that is not supposed to make happen. So, I mean, at the end of the day, that's just a great guy. I mean, that's what I would be more excited about, as a coach and as somebody who's running the team, running the program. I would want great guys in my program, and so that's who he is. So that's my pitch on Ray Davis right there.
Well, November 4th, you guys get Kentucky coming to Starkville. That rivalry stays on, Kentucky, Mississippi State. So y'all be on opposite sides. That'll be a fun one to watch. I want to look back, Mike, on a couple of games from last season because you were part of just 2 huge wins in recent years for the program. You guys lose to South Carolina last year. You dropped to 3-6, but you'd had some competitive games there and with Mizzou. What was that mindset going into the Kentucky game in Lexington? And what made you guys think like, hey, we got a chance in this one?
I'll put it this way. The mindset going in there was like, all right, we've been close. We've been in close games, as you said. We always talk about on that Sunday morning what we could have done better. Let's have a different conversation on Sunday. And so that was the message, that I displayed to the team, where it's like, look, this is our game. There is no holding back. There is no, oh man, I wish I would have done this. Lay it all on the line. So, that was our mindset going to that game, and like you said, like it ended up trickling when we win that game and then win against Florida. But our mindset for that game was, look, we are coming to win. We are going to Lexington to win. We don't care what the weather is. It was 17 degrees. It was raining, cold, snow. It was like, look, as soon as we got there, it was like it didn't matter what the score was. All we knew was we were going to have more points than them on the way back home. So that was the most important part for us.
So Chris Rodriguez scores on a 72-yard touchdown run. Y'all are down 21-17. You get the ball back with under 5 minutes to go. And you just go on this methodical, clock-draining drive that included a 4th and 11 pass by you to Quincy Skinner for 40 yards down to the Kentucky 9-yard line. What did you see on that play? I mean, that's the 4th and 11.
Well, I'll put it this way. The play before, the corner on that side got hurt, and they put in the backup corner. And so, we had a guy, we had Will Sheppard on the left, Quincy Skinner was on the right. They moved their best guy over to our best guy. And I was like, look, there's their corner. Like I said, it was 17 degrees. So you want to talk about him being cold. That was just the chance that we were going to take. And so, my job as a quarterback is just to give guys opportunities to make a play. Guys who are better than me to make a play. I can't jump the highest. That's not my job. That's why I don't play receiver. So, like I said, on that 4th and 11 play, it was just about that trust in the guy and let him go make a play. And so there was no doubt in my mind that he was going to come up with that catch. As soon as I'm throwing the ball, I'm running down the field because I'm like, all right, we got to get this thing rolling. So, like you said, 4th and 11, a backup corner rolled in. I would hate to be that guy to roll in during that situation. So, I honestly just throw the ball and let my guy go make a play.
And then a few plays later, you hit Will Sheppard for the 8-yard touchdown pass with 32 seconds left. Will Sheppard feels like one of those guys that, like, we see the numbers, we see the stats, we know he's good, yet it feels like he's a little bit disrespected. I mean, being a teammate of his, Will Sheppard just feels like a guy that's always open and always catching the football.
Yeah, and I'll put it this way. If you don't know his name by now, I just don't think you're an actual college football fan. You want to talk about a guy who can stretch the field, a true X receiver, a guy who has great hands, who can do stuff with the ball, like from as a 6'3" receiver, when you can actually catch the ball and do something with it after you catch the ball, it's dangerous. And there's not too many guys around the league that can do that. And so like I said, if you don't know his name now, I would, in the most respectful way, call you a casual college football player. I wouldn't call you a guy who actually loves college football. Um, like I said, he was my roommate for 2.5 years. You want to talk about a relationship that we've built over time. I mean, in constant group chats and texting every single day. That's my guy. He'll have a tremendous year this year, and on past there, he'll be one of those guys that we talk about having one of those 10 to 12-year tenures in the NFL, just because he's a workhorse and he's gonna find a way to keep producing like he did for us at Vanderbilt. So I'm proud of him.
One more on last season. That next week, you guys, Florida comes to town, and I got to think you guys had some real confidence going into that one with the win over Kentucky. Anthony Richardson comes in; he's starting to be hyped as a first-round talent in the NFL. But you were the one making a lot of those winning plays early in that game. You finished with 3 touchdown passes, and your defense really capitalized, forcing Florida into a bunch of mistakes, and you guys get that win. Which win was more gratifying in your mind, the win over Kentucky or the win over Florida?
Oh, man. I think, of course, that win against Kentucky, because it ended a streak. But like I said, when you win one of those games at Florida with the infamous rushing the field at home, that game right there, I think that game was fun. I mean, whenever you get a chance to win at home, I know, and I knew Will Levis too, just from Manning, but I know Anthony Richardson a lot, and we text a lot, so it's always good to play against your friends and stuff like that. But honestly, those games were games where you just like, look, we got to go win this game. It was exciting. I had fun. It was just a great moment for us, So I was excited.
You were voted a team captain last year at Vandy. You were one of the representatives of the team at SEC Media Days. How hard was that to walk away from at Vandy with all you went through the last couple of years?
Oh yeah, it was probably one of the, if not the hardest decision I had to make in my life. And that's just because I had to make that decision purely for Mike Wright. I'm a team first, a people first oriented person. You know, that's who I am. I'm gonna put the team's needs in front of mine every single day of the week. But so stepping away was hard just because my younger brother's still there. He's there. He'll be their nickel guy this year. I had one blood brother, but I had 99 other brothers on that team too. And so the great part about that and amazing part about that was the support after making a decision. I'm still in, like I said, I'm in constant communication with all those guys. They always check up on me. I always check up on them. Just because that was the relationship that we built over those 3 years that I was there. Like you said, we've been through the most ups and downs as a team, but realistically, as 18 through 22-year-olds can kind of go through in college football with coaching changes, a season where you didn't put a W in a column, to breaking the streak, beating 2 SEC teams. And so, like I said, we don't have the conventional path of doing things the I don't want to say the right way in college football, but just the most, prominent way in college football. So, I mean, we're brothers. So that was one of the hardest decisions I had to make. But, having their support from not only the players, but the coaching staff as well, that meant a lot.
All right, continue our conversation with Mike Wright. I just got a couple more for you, Mike, and we really appreciate your time. What's the hardest hit you've taken so far in college?
Look, I don't know what I've done to the defenses that we've played, but it just seems like everybody wants their kill shot at me. Honestly, I could make a 5-minute video on how hard I've been hit. 2 years ago, Sam Williams from Ole Miss, on a 2-point play, ripped my face mask, and I'm just torpedoed in the air. Wake Forest, I get knocked out of bounds. I mean, you know what? I will make a stream of clips, and I'll put that out, and I'll let the world see how. To the kids listening to this, if you really want to play college football and you want to understand how hard you get hit, go look at the video I'll put out in the next couple of days. I'll let you know how hard it is to get hit by some dudes who are 315 pounds who can run a 4.6. So
like the Sunday after a game when you get hit like, is it ice tub? Is it what's that like?
as crazy as it sounds, I feel like a crash dummy at this point, just because by Sunday morning I'm all right. The only thing that hurts is just from just normal soreness of running around all day long. But like I said, those hits that you take, honestly, I feel like I'm battle tested to where I done been hit the hardest out of everybody on any team that I done walked on. So now I feel all right every time I come on Sunday. But like you said, I love it. You got to be kind of crazy to play quarterback, but not only play quarterback in the SEC, because you're playing against some guys who are going to be playing on TV on Saturdays, Sundays, and then talking about how they're playing on Saturdays and Sundays for years to come. So playing against the best guys to ever really play football. I love it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your role this year, because we already talked about Will Rogers is there. I got to think, if you're not starting, there's going to be some design runs because you're too good of a runner to not have some kind of role, part of the game plan, maybe some goal line packages. You don't have to give away the secrets, but like what have those discussions been like and how they want to use you?
Yeah, well, I still have, 2 years left of eligibility with the chance to redshirt. So, who knows what my plan is, from a coach's standpoint. My job every time I step into the facility is to prepare like I'm the starting quarterback. Just because if you kind of look at my career, I've been the starter at sometimes. I've been the guy who's had to prepare to be the starter and not start. A guy who's had to come in and start. And so not only does that tell the world, but that kind of just tells myself like, hey, at any moment, your number can be called. So you better be ready when your number is called. And so, my job as a quarterback first is to prepare the team on Saturdays and to prepare our team to go out there and go win a football game. So that's what I'll do. I'll prepare like I'm being the starting quarterback. And one, our new OC and Coach Barbay has one of the most creative minds in college football. That's one guy where I'm like, look, go watch his offenses in years past. If you don't know, to actually get the full scale of what this offense can be and what where we can go. And so, like I said, I'll be ready for kind of any role that I get thrown into. But when that time comes, is when that time comes. All I know is right now, hey, you prepare your butt off and you help this team out to where we're ready to go by week 1. And wherever that role is, best believe I'm ready for it. So.
A quick thought on a couple of guys on your team this year. I watched the spring game. Man, it feels like we're going to see Tulu Griffin out in space. Just get him in space, get him the ball, let him go. Look, the sky's the limit. End arounds, wide receiver screens. Is it as simple as that? Get the ball in this guy's hands and let him go?
Like I said, as a quarterback, when you're surrounded by guys who are far more talented than you, it is so much easier to play your job. And so, like you said, we got playmakers on our team in Tulu, and whenever you got guys like that, you just find different ways to get him the football and just let him be himself. We just talk about, like you said, the jet sweeps, the over routes, everything in between. And so he's one of those guys where it's like, if he asks me to race, I might have to stretch a little bit extra because I actually might lose that one. And so I'm excited to have him on our team, and plus that receiving corps has come a long way ever since the new installation of this offense, and so I'm proud of them. We got a big X receiver in Justin Robinson, and Xavier Thomas is coming along too, and we got young guys in the room, and so I'm excited for that group. I'm excited for this offense. We got a new offense going in, and I know there's always questions on, I wonder what's going to look like. What's this going to look like? What's this going to look like? But, now everybody kind of thinks about the players having to learn it and go out there and execute it. So I'm excited because I think, we're coming along as an offense. And, we'll be ready to go by week 1.
Jaquavian Marks, better running back or better dancer?
Oh, my goodness. See, I know Woody from, that's what we call him Woody. He's from Atlanta, too.
A quick thought on the defense, because I was going through your depth chart, and man, I mean, look, two of the best linebackers in the country back in Nathaniel Watson and Jet Johnson, but that D line, I mean, Jaden Crumity's back. Y'all got some pieces, and I started looking at them like, man, don't let Mississippi State get hot now, because I think y'all are going to start winning a lot of games because that defense is dangerous.
From a personnel standpoint, I mean, I like us. I mean, like you said, from a D-line standpoint, I mean, we got Buki and, Jet coming back, and like, I mean, it's scary, and like it's legit scary. And so, and one thing I'll tell people as well is like, from a schematic standpoint, I mean, with Coach Arnett and Coach Brock, I mean, those two guys as a quarterback, it's kind of hard to prepare for it in only 6 days. Like I said, at my time at Vanderbilt, we played Mississippi State twice, and so you get off whatever game you played before Sunday, you watch the game. By Sunday night, Monday morning, you're starting your preparation for the week to come. And we throw at you Mississippi State's defense, which is unlike any other defense really in the SEC. And you're just like, Coach, what are we going to do? And so, from not only from a personnel standpoint, but also from a schematic standpoint, I'm just like, look, that defense is dangerous. And like you said, don't let us get hot. I mean, like you said, I mean, I won't let all the secrets go because I'm excited, and I don't want to give out too much. But like I said, I'm excited for this team, and I'm excited for what we are and what we can do this year. So,
all right, I got two more for you. One, your mom was a principal. How tough was she on you growing up?
So congratulations to my mom. Last summer, she got her doctorate in math. So I can only address her as Dr. Mom or Dr. Wright. So, like you said, I mean, that kind of like that sense of where it comes to doing something every day to expand your knowledge. Like, I didn't have any homework today, so I did a puzzle. As something simple as that, but it's like, that's where it comes from, Dr. Wright. And so, she's done, her and my dad have done a tremendous job when it comes to, raising myself. My brother, I got two twin sisters who are competitive dancers, and they're all in their presidential awards when it comes to academics and stuff like that. And so that's a testament to Dr. Wright right there.
All right, last thing for you. When Mike Wright's not playing football, what are you doing?
Oh my goodness. One, I have an interest in life. And if you can't keep up, I suggest you not really being a part of it. Because like, look, I'm fast paced, I'm gonna keep on going. Like I said, I like to be uncomfortable, honestly. So I like doing new things. I mean, like I said, I just got done making a puzzle today. Whether or not it's going outside and doing something. I like to go on walks, which is unheard of nowadays, apparently, with people my age going outside. But honestly, I like to build things. My dad's an electrical engineer. So whenever I'm bored, I might, undo something in the house and rebuild it again or something like that, or do some research on the periodic table or something weird like that. Like, I'm a weird person. Like, if you take the football part out of my life, I'm honestly like a dork, if you want to be honest with you. But like, it is who I am who I am. So
if Will calls and says, come hunting with me, are you going?
Listen, I've been trying to convince and see, look, Rogers, he's a football junkie too. So it's whenever we're in this part of the season right now, it's like, all right, you can't get me or him out the facility. But I'm like, look, the next time you gotta start me slow. Let's start off by going, fishing. Let's start there. And then let's work our way up. Because if you throw me out there, I'm gonna scare all the animals away. I'm gonna run I'm like, look, start me off easy, and then all right, well, we can start getting to the bigger things. But look, best believe I'm going the next time he's fishing, I'm gonna be right there with him now.
That's the best part of Will Rogers. We always ask guys at like SEC Media Days and stuff, like, what's the last thing you watched on Netflix? Or what's the last movie you watched? Will's like, hey man, I don't know anything about that. I've been outdoors. Like,
listen, you could cut the electricity off at that dude's house and he wouldn't notice until maybe a week later. He's every bit of a Mississippian you can get to. when it's just he's outside. Like he would tell you right now. Nah, I'm like, you didn't watch the Power Rangers when you were growing up? He's like, dude, I was outside playing wiffle ball with my shoes off. I wasn't watching the Power Rangers when I was growing up. But honestly, I mean, that's what makes our quarterback room jail so much. You got different personalities, guys who are just there to win football games and just have fun while doing it. So it's truly exciting.
Well, Mike, this has been a blast, man. Thanks so much for the time. Really appreciate it. Best of luck to you in your journey. We're excited to see you in a new spot at Mississippi State. Excited to see what the future holds for you. And best of luck, man. Well, don't be a stranger. We'll have to get you on again down the road, all right?
Oh, yeah, just let me know.
All right, that's Mike right there. Mississippi State quarterback now.